Did it work?
In hindsight, many wonder how citizens could idly sit by and not rise up against their Nazi overlords, yet, in an odd reproduction of the past, an authoritarian regime once again lies to the populace for its own benefit. Years from now, when constitutions have been abolished, gun ownership has been outlawed, and no one is allowed free speech, we will wish that we could have traveled back in time to fight all the harder. Even though the virus has a whopping 99% survival rate, how do people not see that this is nothing more than a fear campaign? Another false flag inside job like 9/11, where on the back of a global emergency, they have thrown up an infectious distraction to garner more power and control. By repeating for public security ad nauseum, they have the next several years mapped out, comprised of 1 year the virus being more transmissible, the next more virulent, after that a new strain that they cooked up in a lab using the very tax dollars we give to them. They figure they can keep mutating this scamdemic, plandemic, very deadly virus. And we will go along with any law that they make in order to counter it, so we don't become, irresponsible killers. Look for this to occur particularly around crucial political moments, such as when a political candidate needs a platform to run on, like this past election, or paying big pharma is the only cure against biological warfare. Once enough force has been concentrated in fewer and fewer hands, they can pretty much do whatever they want. And let's just, for argument's sake, you're on their side, or you think this is all acceptable, it's all fine. Who's to say that the very next generation won't be as caring once they have everything they want at their fingertips? The big picture is that decades from now, one world government, currently called the UN, the United Nations, formerly the League of Nations, won't have to use the excuse of for your safety and protection, and will just deny or grant you access to certain places, wealth opportunities, or activities based on how well you go along with the mainstream by never entertaining an individual thought of your own. Whether this is in the form of an injectable to track us, having an immunity passport to travel, or even an acceptable social credit score, where our children's children will not see the dystopian nightmare for what it is once they're raised in it. They will be told they live in a free and peaceful world, that facial recognition cameras on every corner is necessary, that enslavement to capitalism is all we are meant to live for. Of course, once the middle class and small businesses are wiped out, as we are in the process of, the wealth gap will be widened, so we will only be able to go to the rich 1% for all our products, energy, and so on at whatever preset quality and quantity standards they deem worthy. For now, we are still on the road of becoming increasingly reliant upon government as we move towards socialism with the stimulus package handouts they give us. My guess is these will start to have contingencies attached to them to incentivize the public, such as $5,000 if you get your annual vaccine. All these things that will have to depend on the state for, which will separate those who are voluntarily monitored from those who despise being contact traced. If we stand up to them, they will say, sorry, you can't apply to this job because you didn't jump through this hoop. Or you can't attend this event, music event, political rally, whatever, because you didn't sign this dotted line. Or your kid can't come to this school because only those who fall in line with the arranged bureaucracy are allowed in. Eventually, when we all live under communism and the state is utterly dominant in every aspect of our lives, they will have complete say on how society will function. Who works where, who is given a license to have a baby, or, as we saw this past New Year's, what the limits are to the amount of fun we are able to have. No club crawling, no bar hopping, whatever you like to do. For myself, it is a bittersweet sensation to be proven right, but just think, if the medical advancements, as they are called, vaccines, are so good for us, why would any government need to force us to take them? Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, how did we get to this predicament of hysteria where we feel ashamed for breathing, guilty for breathing air? If the elites were to have pulled this stunt 50 years ago, they would have had an insurrection on their hands. But by taking baby steps, incrementally introducing Zika, swine flu, Ebola, and more, with each one setting up more dominoes in their favor, now the protocols have been laid for us all to abide by. Whether you admit it or not, we have been conquered, and now live with such rigidity and organization because we allow the agenda to keep moving forward. However, if we unite, suddenly, going to the beach will no longer be considered a criminal act, for there will not be enough police to prevent us from enjoying nature. Or, when soldiers are called up to carry out martial law, they will stop in their tracks when they are commanded to exercise violence against their own relatives. You might be saying, well, this is all a long way off, or maybe it will never happen. The deeper message behind fining you for not covering your face or mandating the use of vaccines is that if we want to be a part of their version of civilization, then our bodies, our minds, belong to them. Let this sink in. When someone can make demands on your very person, that should be an indicator that you are not free, but belong to the state, especially in the case of national security or some other nonsense. Thankfully, those with enough intuition and courage have started the resistance movement, such as those in Berlin, whose ancestors have been in this circumstance before. Together, pockets of rebels around the world are displaying their contempt in unison, taking to the avenues, boulevards, promenades in the millions, without a mask, spitting in the face of the illusion known as authority. But since the elites basically own every facet of the media, there is seldom any insight given to what's really happening. And if it does happen to make the news, these nonconformists are seen only to be, a couple, maybe several thousand extremists. So, if you still want to keep rebreathing the same artificial air and put poison into your body, hopping on any and every bandwagon that our banker masters create, then go for it. That is your body and your business. All I ask is for you to also respect my own body and business, because it is my choice. I won't tell you how to live your life, so please don't tell everyone else how to live theirs on behalf of a propagated delusion. This is a bad pun, but if we can make this video, my books, my YouTube channel, anything related to this sort of liberty, if we can make it go viral, then people will be able to do their own research. They'll be able to see both sides of the narrative, and they won't have to just listen to the official story and take it at face value. Lastly, as I'm sure many of you have felt before, sometimes I wish I could just shake people, not to say, oh, I told you so, or because I need some sort of validation as a conspiracy theorist, but really, it's because I love you. It's that simple. Even if I've never met you, or you come across this clip a century from now. I believe that deep down, love is why we are all here, to each learn our lessons and fulfill our own unique purpose in a peaceful way. Love. That is why I am putting all this time and effort into sharing this message with you.